Hey guys, this is chapter 10, section 2. I got a new little device recently, so I'm going to try it and see if it's a little easier for me to make the videos. I don't know, we may like it more, or we may not like it as much, so let's just see what happens. Okay, so it's new to me, so you guys just bear with me, please. All right, but this is chapter 10, the second section, and the objectives for this section are we're going to determine the constant terms that will make incomplete trinomials perfect square trinomials, and we're going to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. So here are the directions, and you have a copy of my PowerPoint. The first thing we're going to do is arrange terms with variables on one side of the and constants on the other. So all x's are going to be on one side of the equal sign, and numbers without constants are going to be on the other side of the equal sign. We're going to divide each term by the coefficient of x squared. So if it's 2x squared, every term will be divisible by 2. Then we're going to find the number that completes the square of the quadratic expression and add this number to both sides of the equation. We're going to find the positive and negative square roots of both sides. And then finally, we're going to solve for x. And just remember, on all of these problems, we're going to have 2 answers. All right, so let's just get started right here. So if you remember, the first step is that we're going to get the variables on one side of the equal sign and constants on the other side of the equal sign. So on letter A, we have a constant of +4. So, I've turned the, there we go. All right. So the first thing we want to do is move +4 to the other side of the equal sign. Well, the only way to do that is to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, so now we have x squared minus 6x. I'm going to leave a little space, and then on the other side of the equal sign, I'm going to write my -4. All right, so it said that we're going to turn non-perfect trinomials into perfect trinomials. So the way we're going to do that, and it's going to work the same way on all of them, so you'll just have to write the directions down and then refer back to them, because we're going to do the same thing every time. So whatever's being multiplied by x, there's 2 things we're going to do to it. The first thing we're going to do to that number is half it. And then the second thing we're going to do to it is we're going to square half of this number. So half of -6 is -3. So -3 squared is +9. So I'm going to write +9. Since it's an equation, whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other side. So now I've just created a perfect square trinomial. So what number, so think about it. I'm going to show you this on the first one, but the next few I'm just going to do, we're going to do it in one step. So there's a number that when we multiply these 2 numbers, we get +9, but when we add them, we get -6. Well, that would be -3 and -3, right? Because -3 times -3 is +9, and -3 plus -3 is -6. So that's why we call it a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so on problems from now on, we're going to skip this part. All right, so basically we have x minus 3 squared is equal to -4 plus 9 is 5. And now to solve for x, we have to cancel out this square right there. Well, the only way to cancel out a square is to find the square root. And I wish I left a little more space, because from now on, every time we write that square root, I want to write a plus and a minus sign. There, I made my own. Look at that. All right, so now, what is the square root of x minus 3 squared? Well, the answer is x minus 3. Equals positive square root 5 and negative square root 5. Now I could write this, but in Hox they don't have that sign, so you have to do it separately. And then the last thing we do to get x by itself is we're going to add 3 to both sides. So one of our answers is the positive square root of 5 plus 3, and the other answer is negative square root of 5 plus 3. And those are our 2 answers. And one of the steps of the directions was that we're going to have 2 answers, okay? Ooh, I demolished this, didn't I? So -5 square roots of 3 and +5 square roots of 3. All right, this is going to be tricky to right, so y'all can read it. I'll try to do better. All right, look at letter B. So these variables are already on one side of the equal sign and the constant's already on the other side of the equal sign, so we don't have to move that 7. So we're going to rewrite it. And we're going to leave a little space, and then we're going to write our 7. So what do we do with this number? 2 things. First thing is we half it. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to square half of it. So 3 squared is 9. Add 9 to this side of the equal sign, you have to add 9 to this side of the equal sign. So now we've created a perfect square trinomial because 2 numbers that are multiply to give you 9 but add to give you 6 are x plus 3. So x plus 3 squared is equal to, this is 16. So now how do you get rid of that square? Well, you do the opposite. You find the square root. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. Whenever we write that square root, we're going to write plus and minus. So now we have x plus 3 is equal to positive 4 and negative 4, because 16 is a perfect square, right? So last thing we're going to do is subtract 3 from both sides. That's gone. So x is equal to 2 numbers. The first one is 4 minus 3 is 1. And the second one is negative 4 minus 3, which is negative 7. And those are our 2 answers. Wow, look how much better I did. I'm improving already. Yay. All right, so 1 and negative 7. All right. Now we're going to do letter E. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to C and D, but it was already lettered that way, so I just left it like it was. All right, so anyway, now letter E. So our variables are on one side, our constants on the other, so we don't have to move anything that way. So we're going to rewrite it and leave a little space. All right, 2 things we do to this middle term. What are they? We're going to half it, and then we square that half. So half of 8 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So we have 2 numbers. When we multiply, we get 16. When we add them, we get 8. So those would be x plus 4 squared is equal to, uh-oh, I forgot to add my 16, you guys. Ah, there we go. Now, so make sure whatever you do to one side, you got to do it to the other. So now negative 4 plus 16 is 12. Now, to get rid of that square, we find the square root. What did I just do? What did I just do? Oh, darn it. What am I doing? Oh, I see it there. I'm going to finish right here, and then I'll make the screen big again. Okay, so where did I go? All right, so the square root of x plus 4 squared is x plus 4. I was supposed to write the square root of 12, the positive and negative square root of 12. Look, I'm even in a different color. I don't even know what I'm doing. All right, so then what is the square root of 12? Well, over here, let's do this over here. So isn't 12 4 times 3? And isn't 4 a perfect square? So this is 2 square roots of 3. All right, so it's basically positive 2 square roots of 3 and negative 2 square roots of 3. So what's the last step? The last step is to subtract 4. Now, normally I would put this in the back, but I believe on HOTS and in your calculators, the constant always comes first. So instead of writing a number minus 4, I'm going to start with negative 4 plus 2 square roots of 3. And the reason I got negative 4 is because I'm subtracting it. I'm subtracting it. So I'm taking that negative and I'm putting it in the front. So one of them was negative 4 plus 2 square roots of 3. The other one is negative 4 minus 2 square roots of 3. And those are our 2 answers. Okie dokie. All right, let's get rid of that, and then Let me go back to our full screen. There we go. And then we will erase all of it. Eraser. Nope. Erase all. There we go. Oh, no, that didn't work. All right. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Are y'all laughing at me? Oh, my goodness. Oh, wait, did you see that? Oh, did it go away? All right, anyway, let's move on. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm still on eraser. So let's go to our pen now. Pen. All right, so on this one, it's almost like they've done part of it for us. They already have it as a perfect square trinomial. What that part was up here. So now all we have to do in order to solve for x is to cancel out this square. Well, how do you cancel out a square? You take the square root. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the other side. So remember, we have to put plus and minus. So the square root of x plus 8 squared is x plus 8. And what is the positive square root of 144? 12. And the negative square root of 144 is negative 12. So now we're going to get rid of plus 8 by subtracting 8 from both sides. That's gone. So x is equal to 12 minus 8 is 4. And negative 12 minus 8 is negative 20. All right, that was easier. We skipped this whole step right here. And we went straight to the perfect square trinomial. All right, number 10, we want to cancel out the square by finding the square root of both sides. And these come straight from Hawks, you guys, I'm pretty sure. Positive and negative 16. So square root of y plus 5 squared is y plus 5. The positive square root of 16 is 4. The negative square root of 16 is negative 4. And then the last thing we do is subtract 5 from both sides. So y is equal to 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And negative 4 minus 5 is negative 9. All right. And the reason these are always going to work is, let's say I did put a negative 9 right there. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4, but isn't negative 4 squared always going to be a positive number? It's going to be positive 16. All right, so anyway, number 11, we want to cancel off the square. So we're going to find the square root. We're going to do positive and negative. So then we have x plus 2 is equal to, the positive square root of 25 is 5. The negative is negative 5. And then the last thing we do to solve for x is we subtract 2 from each side. So our answer is x is 5 minus 2 is 3, and negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. So now we have to do a little moving because this is not in the form that we wanted. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract 24 from both sides. So we're going to put this here, put it over there. So now we have x squared minus 10x. We're going to leave a little space, and then we're going to put is equal to negative 24. All right, now we're going to do two things. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to do two things to this middle number. So the first thing we do is half it. So half of negative 10 is negative 5. And then we're going to square half of it. So negative 5 squared is positive 25. Positive 25. Whatever you do on one side, you got to do on the other. All right, so now this is a perfect square trinomial. So what number, when you multiply it, you get positive 25, but when you add them, you get negative 10. That would be x minus 5 and minus 5. So it's x minus 5 squared is equal to Negative 24 plus 25 is 1. So now we're going to get rid of the square by finding the square root. Finding the square root. We always add our plus and minus. So we cancel out the square and the square root. So our answer here is x minus 5. The positive square root of 1 is 1. The negative square root of 1 is negative 1. Now we're going to add 5 to both of those numbers. So x is equal to 1 plus 5 is 6, and negative 1 plus 5 is 4. And guess what, guys? That's it. That's the end of 10.2. Yep. All righty. I don't know how you felt about that, but we're going to see if I get any complaints.